Who are your teams to beat right now? Realistically, let's start with the NFC first.
The NFC, I think. I mean, I think I've said it for a while now, but I think it's the better conference at this point, especially like looking at these playoff fields. I mean, the Lions look like a buzzsaw. The Eagles somehow figured it out. I still feel like they'll find a way to forget how football works once
Yeah.
playoff football comes around. But they look pretty good right now. And then, I mean, you got the fifth seed Minnesota Vikings at 10-2. I mean, I just
Mm-hmm.
all of these top teams in the NFC look like absolute wagons. But then also, my favorite part and why I'm more excited for the NFC side of the playoffs, I think, is you got some of these NFC teams, like a lot of these NFC South teams, that are just kind of scrappy, and they're all teams that it's like, oh, I don't want to see these guys in the playoff for the most part, and that's what is kind of exciting to me. But to answer the question, the NFC, it's the Lions, it's the Vikings. I think the Packers look like a really good football team, even though they're down at 9-4 right now. But those are kind of my three teams in the NFC that worry me right now to go up against.
No, for sure. And I think that that's kind of where I look at it too. I think that it's weird though. This year, it's going to be kind of the thought process of these are the teams that have quote unquote choked in the playoffs, right? The Detroit Lions choked in the playoffs. Philadelphia Eagles in the past have choked in the playoffs. And now there's no 49ers here. And it's going to be a new team, right? The Green Bay Packers, same thing. And I think that that's how I look at the NFC. I'm with you. I think that a team like the Commanders could shake it up, maybe win one game, but I really think it'll be these top dogs are top dogs this year. And like you said, even the Green Bay Packers, they looked damn good yesterday. So for the NFC, I think it's definitely one of those three teams. What do you think about the AFC?
The AFC is the one where I think that's going to have the more exciting playoff race, because I think a lot of these teams are kind of on the same level. If you have your week and the other team doesn't, I feel like it can turn into a blowout really quickly. But if you get two teams that are able to show up or just don't show up in the same weekend, I mean, I think there's more parity in the AFC. I mean, obviously, you got to keep your eye on the Chiefs, especially when they're a team that's just able to find victories like we've been talking about all season. I feel like everybody's been talking about all season. When you're talking about a team that can just find ways to win at the end of games, you always have to keep your eye on them because you just got to close out. That's the hardest thing to do with the NFL. But I think the Buffalo Bills will look like one of the strongest teams in the AFC finally. They stopped getting the preseason hype that was all crazy, and they end up being a good football team. So maybe that's what they needed. Or just Josh Allen to, not be all that they have on the offense. But, I think the Bills, and honestly, I think the Chargers could be a sneaky team in this playoff, even though they like the Charger. That's the only thing I'm worried. Kind of like with the NFC. It's just, our bias based on what have you done for me lately is going to get to us with some of these teams, I think, as people come out and start predicting games. But I think the Chargers are going to be a fun team to follow.
Yeah, their team, it kind of sucks a little bit because I'm such a huge fan of their team. But I also feel like they're just missing personnel right now. And I think that that's really what's going to plague them this year. I think that they're a team where, and obviously that's the hope for them is, hey, next year you can replicate that. But it's like, man, it really feels like they've got a window like right now. And that's why it's like, man, you're just missing guys on the offensive side. You can't rely on Ladd McConkey for 12 targets a game. The offensive line's been a little banged up. They've looked a little rough the past 2 weeks. And the Steelers are another team, like scrappy team, I think can win one playoff game. And then obviously you got the Kansas City Chiefs. Their team, I'm curious to see what happens with them in the playoffs because they're going to likely get the 1 seed right now, it seems like. And they don't look like they should be the best team in the AFC. No. And that's what I'm curious to see. They're the team that's going to be like, man, is this another year where somehow, some way they find a way to win 2 playoff games? And they're not the best team in the NFL, but they find a way. I think it's going to come down to, I don't even know if it's going to come down to the Bills. Like the Bills are the team to beat, but it's like, man, I just don't know if they can do it in the playoffs against them. Could the Ravens do it? I don't know. So the AFC really is a crapshoot in my opinion, and we just got to see who comes out on top. But
us talking about playoffs. I wish we were talking about a certain team in the playoffs, but we're not.